So one of the biggest scams in history is the Green New Deal. Basically, it's some thing that was proposed by a very hated member of Congress to basically try to get rid of all of the industry as well. I get it, we want, people want to protect the environment as well here, but the Green New Deal basically was a failure at the beginning. All of these, environmental scams, as well here. I think if we really want to save the environment, one, we have to create the establishment of national parks. Two, we introduced raw species to said national park. What Europe is doing is, instead of just forcing people to do all this stuff, basically they're saying, hey, there's farmland that's unusable, land that people don't use anymore. Let's buy that land and rewild it. That's basically what we should be doing instead of trying to tax people into oblivion. Okay, so basically, if you really want to protect the environment, you should really, help environmental organizations buy land so they can reintroduce animals and basically, reintroduce animals and plants that are native to the region, and also reintroduce animals that are proxies for extinct megafauna, into that region because, of course, megafauna is still important to any ecosystem and any environment as well. Whether they're native or non-native, I'm talking about, like, for example, horses, the mustangs, a water buffalo, where it's used to, like, for example, proxy species, water buffalo from Asia being reintroduced to Ukraine. Mustangs, obviously, are a big example of this as well here. Those are two species of animal that used to occupy said range, and their reintroduction as proxies for those extinct species. As well, same thing of reintroducing elephants, or for the extinct Columbian mammoths as well, because again, not too long ago, elephants and elephant relatives used to roam North America. They actually used to roam North America. Camels as well used to be very common in North America. Tapirs and capybaras. Okay, capybaras used to live in Florida, and now people have reintroduced them into Florida accidentally, but they were originally found in Florida. They were originally found in the South U.S. 10,000 years ago. Okay, and the fact that, when it comes to, restoring the original environment, we're restoring basically the damage we have done. Instead of taxing people to oblivion, you should, educate people about why we need to save endangered species, why we need to, have natural habitats, and that's basically what you should do. Educate people, hey, we need to have natural places for animals to live. As much as we want to have a Coruscant, as much as some people want to have a Coruscant-esque planet, there are tons and tons of animals, that exist on our planet too. Okay, predators and prey. Okay, and also predators too. We're introducing jaguars to the Southwest U.S. and, of course, Florida and the South U.S. Of course, cattle ranchers may not be too happy about that, but, same thing of reintroducing megafauna throughout Europe as well, because Europe and the Americas are, I think, the most degraded ecosystems of them all. And even if Asia too, you can reintroduce rhinos to areas as well here. There are 3 species of rhinos that are found throughout Europe. There also used to be rhinos in Asia, but there's always used to be rhinos in Europe as well. There also used to be hippos in Europe as well. There used to be lions in Europe. Europe used to have most of the same animals Africa did. But instead of course, antelope, they had a bunch of deer species as well. Okay, they had a bunch of deer species as well. Same thing with North America. You have a bunch of, deer species as well that are going to have expanding ranges as well here. Maybe introduce a few more deer species to, or deer. And of course, once de-extinction comes around, it'll be much more easier because we can just find species to de-extinct and reintroduce as well here. But of course, not all species are, good, obviously. Like, there are many negative species that have been introduced or invasive as well. So, but I think reintroducing lost megafauna or proxies for lost megafauna is a good idea, 100%. For example, the horses, I think, are the most popular and successful example of reintroducing lost megafauna to an already, to an ecosystem. Because reintroducing horses to North America, you're reintroducing lost megafauna to an ecosystem that used to have this good animal in large numbers, but now is here. Here. And I do understand that you can't have too many horses but again, you have to have predators. You have to have, cougars, slash mountain lions. You have to have bears. You have to have, wolves, jaguars, and areas where they're suitable to be found. And of course, eventually we introduced lions and cheetahs, which also used to exist in North America as well. If we can't extinct the American cheetah and American lion, of course, we still have the African lion and African cheetah, and they can exist in the southwest area where the climate is suitable for them, and eventually they can move up towards the more colder areas as well as they adapt towards the colder climates as well here. So, because America used to have a very similar thing to the Serengeti. But of course, the Trump administration has finally gained rid of this Green New Deal scam that AOC proposed. Okay, I think if we really want to save the environment, we should really educate people on rewilding the ecosystem instead of putting a bunch of windmills everywhere that does take up space. Which, instead of putting out windmills, you could easily use the space for windmills instead putting actual natural environments instead, because windmills kill birds, they kill fine animals, and yeah. That's what this video here. Goodbye.